What for? You know. All right. So it's 6:52. Literally, I know we've been on the meeting for a while, but I thought maybe what we could do is put the document back up and step through. Let's see what we can get through without protracted conversation, because we're so close. And see if we can make, and part of the stuff at the end is with the apologies to the founders and drafters of all prior charters, kind of junk. So maybe we can kind of get through some of the big items. Joan, I think why don't we agree that the Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen zone conversation is an important conversation we can't put off forever, but let's see if we can chunk our way through this administrative part.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
Then let's see what other little landmines we have.
Does elections actually have all those exclamation points on it?
I'm like, I just gave myself that note from your meeting an hour ago, and now I don't remember why. So I have to hope I remember tomorrow. I'm running on fumes here. I left my house at 6:15 this morning to get to the swearing in ceremony.
Oh my God.
Lauren, I think we should put you in the charter. You know, I wasn't just being nice. Your work on this is really remarkable. So,
thank you.
And I do think we need more run-on exclamation points within the charter and colors. And I think emojis would be nice.
Yeah, colors.
I change mine every day, so it looks like what I'm wearing. Okay. So, special appropriations and transfers. So to my mind, this is an exceptionally important area that I think is going to fall in that same category. But just so our not me, not Joan knows what we're talking about, that if the Board of Selectmen, if they want to transfer funds or spend additional money outside of their account, they have to ask the Board of Finance to do that. The good part about that is that it gives discipline to the town accounts. And you heard Bruce make reference to that. You want, you know, if we're putting $50,000 into a town account, you'd like to make sure that account accurately reflects an expenditure of $50,000. And if it's suddenly $150,000, you want your Board of Finance to understand why. The downside is, and this goes right to the conversation we had before, that sometimes just to transfer from one account to another, the Board of Finance conversation is very much supplanting this is where I totally reversed my other comment. Very much, I think, supplants the Board of Selectmen, you know, in terms of you're spending this, why? But wait, we saved the money on copiers. Well, why is your FedEx bill higher? It's a lot like that.
So the special appropriation, I think we can look at first, and $50,000 is quite low. I had thought about a percentage, but then Ira thought that would be better to have an actual hard dollar, correct?
Yes. That was his recommendation.
So, you know, once again, $50,000 is not a significant amount at this point in time when you consider the percentage of the whole budget.
Well, what was the last budget?
Also, especially that it's an aggregate as well.
Yeah,
too. I mean, that's you can blow that.
It's like,
yeah.
Yeah. So I am all in favor of, because it goes to the same problem. Then what will happen is, as has happened in multiple administrations, imagine, you know, First Selectman Gordon is looking at this and saying, fine, save them all up and I'll put them through all at once. So now the public's faced with $125 for ink, you know, $50,000 for this, $10,000 for that. It feels like a weird shopping list when it happens.
So what do we think about, we're at 50 now. We know that that's been there for at least 15 years, I would say, because I don't think that changed in the last review. Well, I mean,
it wouldn't have.
Right. So 2005, and I don't think it increased from 2005 either, if I remember correctly.
Lauren,
So I-
do you have any data to know what we should raise this to? You're on mute, Lauren.
The question I was going to ask is how often does this happen?
All
And
the
for
time.
what amounts of money?
So usually a lot less since we have the CIP. Let me put it that way. So it's happening a lot less. However, when it does come up, it's usually in a response to a specific situation, something that's happened.
Like
So-
an emergency, something you couldn't anticipate,
Well, so
hurricane or something.
Well,
for the shooting at Newtown, then we said, okay, we need to do a special appropriation for security. Implementation of stuff after that one. So, or a fight, something that didn't get into the budget, but had a failure that the firemen or the police did not anticipate, and it's required for safety features or something.
Lauren, do
Yep.
you have any, do you have a recommendation for the dollar amount?
So the recommendation that we had from the 2015 review was to change that to 150. And to take out the in aggregate. So just any expense over 150. That committee at that time reviewed perhaps leaving it at 50, but taking out the in aggregate. So it was just any expense that was more than 50,000. You guys prior in the charter increased the other threshold from 50,000 to 250,000 to trigger a town meeting. So if you wanted to be consistent with new expenses that would require a town meeting, then we would go to 250 here, I think.
I personally would have an issue at 250 without, and taking out aggregate, because then
Okay.
that could get pretty far along.
I
mean-
agree.
250 in aggregate,
Yeah, I think 250 in aggregate is pretty considerable.
Mhm.
yeah,
Or an-
A pretty big change, so.
yeah.
And you know what, and if we're wrong about that, then we're not so far wrong that the next charter review in X number of years can't fix it then. I mean, this is a pretty big change for something that was a nuisance.
That is a significant change, yeah.
Yeah, so 250 in aggregate seems right. And also, if I recall, Lauren, you don't happen to know off the top of your head how much contingency was changed, do you? So we had strengthened a couple of things in the entire budget process some years ago. We added the capital improvement plan to try and smooth out capital expenditures. We expanded contingency in order to try and account for emergency funds. And then there's a third account, I'm trying to remember which it is, that we put money into. And the idea was that we were looking at our known unknowns, our unknown unknowns, and we were trying to schedule to try and put in some budget resilience so that we'd be okay.
Mhm.
So it's not like this 250 is the only source. If you look at an $83 million, 85 at the moment, I think it might be 88, right? If you look at the size of the budget, saying for whatever it is, we're always going to be off by X $100,000. That's budget discipline, because that's at least a budgetable item.
Okay.
All right, where to next?
Actually, just
Well-
one more question. I'm just thinking about Joan's comment with the CIP, then it's not so much of an issue. Lauren, I mean, how many times would you think we would be hitting this?
The 250?
Uh,
Not often.
okay,
So once again, it's a big event and we want to get people to town meeting because this is a big dollar figure and let's get these people in the seats, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right.
Woohoo. Okay.
What about the transfers in item 3?
That's
like-
specifically from capital maintenance fund, right?
Yes.
So again, I think the comment was just, given today's climate, given how much projects cost, is that $50,000 number obsolete, given that it's probably 20 years old? And again, I think the 2015 went to 150 there.
Right, we did.
How often, and I just don't remember this, how often does that fund get hit? And the capital maintenance fund exists where now since the IP?
That's a great question. I am not sure.
I would like to
Is that the
refer this.
non-recurring? Is that the non-recurring where all the projects kind of get lumped in?
You know, I don't know. I'd like to refer
Yeah.
this section to Stacy entirely, because
Okay.
part of that I think gets absorbed by CIP, but I'm sorry, I'm a little too far away from it to recall.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know, I think similar, how often, like you said, like how often and how much.
Item 6, if I can scroll down a little bit, is kind of interesting. We need to exempt out health-related settlements. This was this terrible thing where certain types of categories of settlements, we would hold a vote, but we couldn't say no, which is just ridiculous. So special appropriate transfers from undesignated fund to a special reserve fund, which are required pursuant to health-related settlements entered in by a court, shall be approved by the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance.
Right.
Yeah, we don't.
And that's, yeah,
Our former first selectman McPherson used to go through quite a lengthy statement every time that he did this, just to
Yep.
make clear to everybody he disagreed with part of the policy and there was nothing he could do about it.
every time.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yep. Okay. Did you guys already go through the last time transferring within a department?
No,
No,
Okay. Is that coming up, I guess?
was it above us? Was that item 4? Nope.
Okay. That's special appropriation. There might be it may
Here.
be further down.
The Board of Finance, on request by the Board of Selectmen, may transfer to the town, not including the Board of Education, unexpended balances from one appropriation to another within a single department or departments with a common department head.
So this is the one that I kind of go back and say, if we've said to this department, here's your budget, why do they have to get approval for line item transfers within their own department?
I totally agree with you. So we used to do this all the time. If suddenly your copier budget, literally, I remember one of these on the copier budget was they saved money on the copier and they wanted to put it to buying a computer. It was that kind of stuff. I agree. We transfer to the town, not including the board, unexpended fund balances from one appropriation to another within a single department or departments with a kind. Yeah. Why isn't that? Why isn't the Board of Selectmen? I mean, I guess maybe if we wanted to give a dollar limit.
Well, yeah, I mean, and really, is it even the board? I mean, the department head should be able to, I mean,
No,
and it's gonna
I'll-
come out in the review, right?
No, I
At
don't
the
think
end
you
of the
want to
year.
depart. I'm not so sure about that. I don't know that the department, you want a department head to start eating from the wrong account. I think I don't know, that can be, I don't know if that's the best budget discipline.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah,
wouldn't
no,
want
I can see it. I can see it. Yep, no.
yeah, you might get a first selectman who's unaccustomed to the ways of accounting, like, which hopefully is most of them. And you'd like them to be able to have the charter say, no, you need to do this.
Well, do we want, okay, so we do have a professional head of finance.
Yeah.
Stacy, and somebody, and we're not gonna go backwards, I don't think, in that position in the future. I
Well,
wouldn't think.
you could make the Board of Selectmen or their designee.
There you go.
Do we want to put a dollar amount? I mean, if I'm the Board of Finance and suddenly I found out that the $100,000 I approved for the beverage account is actually only 5,000, I might want to know that.
Right.
You
But
know?
wouldn't that show up on the actuals versus the budget?
But sometimes not till the end of the.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So
so do we want to put to, up to $50,000? I mean, most of these are small potatoes. That's what made them so annoying.
Right. Is 50,000 too high?
Or up to 20% of that department's budget.
But then we get back to Iris saying, don't use percentages.
All right.
Right.
I don't know, $20,000. I mean, most of the town budgets are pretty small. I mean, you're not talking big numbers here.
Right.
Hey, why don't we put in 20 and ask Stacy what she thinks?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we should just include a sentence that said, larger transfers shall be submitted to the Board of Finance for their approval.
Yeah, you killed your 2 at the top, so your number.
Yeah, I'll fix
Yeah.
it later.
Thanks for bringing this one up, Joan. This I think is a big deal.
Yeah, because it's like this, it's literally at the end of each meeting, both the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance, it's like, and half the time you've got this department head waiting to get this approval
For
that
no
isn't
reason.
even for no reason. Right.
Yeah, they're sitting there. You've made them come to the
Yeah.
probably you make it clear it's an aggregate of 20,000 of the expended fund balances. Right? It's not 20,000 per account.
Aggregate of the departments.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, if it was 20,000 per event, that's a budgeting issue.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, getting the budget, getting the form fit of the budget to the accounts is not like an easy game. And it was something that over the years looked like it continued to improve.
Yeah, and I think it does. And every time we both Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance at the budget time, it's like, okay, what did we do? And where's the adjusting? How are we going along on this and that type of thing? So I think we're getting better at the projections too, I would say. How is it going? Okay. The laying of taxes. I love that terminology. I don't know. For some reason, it just strikes my funny bone.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to throw out a novel one. Okay, there's a lot of towns that don't even go to referendum. The Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance just pass the budgets.
Yeah.
I know it's anarchy here, but I'm not gonna. We won't get there in this one. But
They will burn us on the town green.
yes. Good bonfire.
But then we'd have to pay for it.
As long as it's under $20,000, we're all set.
Hey, we're all set. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Transfer from copier fund to lighter fluid.
Okay, this is perfect. Joe and I had a discussion about this particular thing that almost didn't happen one year. So
Yeah. Okay.
what is it? Need to consider whether the budget, I don't think we should be changing the budget referendum process by ordinance.
Yeah, so that's just, the suggestion is to strike that language, because do you really want to give the authority of an ordinance to change what's in the charter here? For the referendum?
Absolutely not.
No. Nope. Nope.
This strikes me as exactly the type of thing we don't want.
Okay.
All right.
We're so close.
Here on page 38 of 39. I wish we were all together. I would have brought champagne.
And
All right, review of regulations by the Board of Finance. This is an area I don't like. The Board of Finance shall keep under the review of the expenditure of the town agencies, may by regulation prescribe reports of expenditures. Periodic reports.
what does that even mean?
It means, here's the problem, you could go and say, I understand the legal expenses have been high. Kindly provide for me a rundown of the legal expenditures. Otherwise, the Board of Finance can't exercise any oversight. They can't ask Stacy.
Got it. Okay. All right.
The regulation of the Board of Finance shall designate the forms and procedures for orders to be drawn by the town and the Board of Education of Selectmen. This is the one that I worry about. Literally, my concern is once you give a town official a budget, an account that has $10,000 in it that says copier, then why should I then put in the procedure beyond it as to how you as a town official spend the money? That oversight feels like it is to be engaged by the Board of Selectmen.
Or the Department of Finance, the Finance Department. Yeah, I don't, yeah, I think, can we strike that completely?
I have a problem with 10.9.2 and 10.9.3. So look at the one beneath that as well.
Yes, yeah, no, yeah.
So this,
Yep.
this is an area that I think could be somewhat complicated.
Mhm.
Like, so the all commission, including the Board of Ed, shall comply with the regulations of the Board of Finance. So if my regulation is good, you need 3 competitive quotes for every beverage service. Is that operational?
Yeah, yep, yep.
So what I would like to suggest to do for 10.9.2 and 9.3, I would like to propose to that these be converted to an operation by the finance director of the town in
Here,
keeping
here.
good accounting practices. And I'd like
Yeah.
to suggest that to Stacy and to Peggy to see if they give instant and to whomever the next Board of Finance chair is to get their feedback. Because I don't want to,
Right.
I don't want to, there may be something wonderful about this that is important to the auditors, for instance.
So we want to convert these to operational, yep.
Yeah. Either that or we should guardrail them.
Yeah, it seems to me this is
Yeah.
clearly one that the finance director should be handling.
Yeah, exactly. If we could convert this into the finance director of the town shall report to the Board of Finance all procedures and regulations, might be a reasonable way to do it as well.
Right.
That way that person has a board oversight. So if they disagree with their Board of Selectmen, they're done, but they're initiated by the finance director.
Okay,
Okay.
all right,
Bonds and notes. That's cool.
yep.
Books and records. We should probably keep them. Sounds awesome.
Well, approval
What?
by town meeting or referendum? Or is it? Because usually we vote for bonds on the referendum. It's been the,
Well, we send the referendum to town meeting.
no, we send bonds to we're setting a referendum in February for school renewal, which is,
It's a good question.
We're actually calling a town meeting that adjourns to a referendum.
Yeah, that's the process.
okay,
I'm not sure. I don't know that one's broken, Joan.
okay.
Charter
We
revision.
had to actually vote referendums when we did there was actual just, so it's a town meeting and that adjourns at 6 o'clock in the morning to a referendum?
Yes, and we did the same thing with the library. Back in, what was that, 2015?
Right. So my point being is if we're adjourning to we're taking a town meeting and adjourning to a referendum, we could just say or referendum and not have to bother calling a town meeting to do it. We just post the referendum. Because we did that, Salt Meadow was a referendum. I remember that. That was a long day.
So
I'm gonna highlight that for legal review.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just see.
Yeah, this,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm vaguely having some I feel like I've
Trying to
asked.
there's something there. I just can't remember what it was though. That's the thing.
Yeah,
so.
I vaguely remember sitting in the meeting asking why we do this, and I just don't recall here at 7:18.
I've got to jump off soon. Next meeting.
Okay.
We're so close though. We're going to get through this. Come on.
Yeah, we got it.
Books and records of the town. Yep.
Well, hold on. This charter may be amended in
Sorry.
in the manner prescribed by the general statutes. Good. If not appointed at an earlier date, a charter review committee shall be appointed by the Board of Selectmen 10 years from the date this charter is effective. Good. If not appointed at an earlier date, good.
Yep.
Except when prompted by petition pursuant to St. Laura, the Board of Selectmen may not initiate a charter revision process sooner than 5 years after the last charter's adoption. I would like to strike that language.
Right,
Yes.
absolutely.
That is inconsistent with how we understand the way this can be done.
Yep.
Right.
Yep, I agree.
So we can just strike that whole thing, right?
An up-to-date copy of the charter shall be maintained. That's nice. Only electors shall vote in referendum provided by state law relating to the charter. Do we need that? Don't we vote in an amendment in compliance with state law?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know
so
if it needs to be spelled out.
yeah, it's the first sentence. So I would knock that off.
Right. But
Yeah.
if you own property,
If you own property but are not registered to vote, you are a voter,
right.
not an elector. An elector are only people who are registered to vote in the town of Madison.
Right. So it's only the registered, yeah.
Yep.
There was a Facebook discussion on that one.
Yeah, so
And I didn't feel like I could get into it. I was exhausted at that point.
so
Don't do
flag
it.
one is a question as well.
Okay.
I think we can strike that, but I don't want to be flippant.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Revision oath. All elected members of permanent bodies of the commission shall swear an oath to affirm the faithful performance of their duties. Ad hoc or temp committees must be sworn in.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Right. Get rid of permanent. Excellent.
Of boards and commissions.
The saving clause, that looks like blah, blah, blah that Ira can review, but it looks right to me.
Yeah, it just
Knock
has
out
to
a-
be there.
Knock out a part, you don't lose everything.
Right.
Transition,
Oh, yeah, this is,
knock it all off. Good. And is that it?
that's it.
Hold on, let's see if she scrolls down a little more.
No, that's the end.
I feel like it should have a ending credits, or
Yeah.
in a charter in a galaxy far, far away, scrolling up in bigger print. All right, gang, we've been through once. So I think then the next thing, Lauren, do we have our next meeting date before everybody goes?
We do not. We do have the next public hearing date. You guys had tentatively called it for Monday, December 6th. Now that you have everyone here, does that still work for everyone?
Goodbye me.
I've already got it in my
Fine.
calendar.
Perfect.
Works for me.
All right.
Okay.
And so the next time we get together, would you guys be free next week at this time?
Next week on Monday?
Yeah, the
No,
15th? Nope.
I have my advisory panel meets.
How about, I want to avoid the week of Thanksgiving. How about the 18th? Do we have time in the evening then?
Yes, yeah, as long as it's through by 7.
Yeah, you want to do it? Want to do our 5 o'clock on the 18th?
I
Yeah, that works.
Liz
Yeah.
can't.
Liz can't. Dave, did you say you could or could not? All right, so
I can.
Liz can't. Let me throw out then the potential for the 22nd.
Or what about the 16th, Tuesday, the 16th?
Unfortunately, sorry,
Bless you.
I'm enjoying this. Unfortunately, I teach on Wednesday and Tuesday nights.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's con law. I'd like you all to come in and talk about it. Engage
We want to
in
try it. Yeah, let's have some fun there.
Yeah,
I
you're,
can't do the 22nd. I'm in a rehearsal. I'm performing a wedding that Wednesday, and that's the rehearsal.
wow.
I'm a JP. It's fun. And it's actually a big wedding. It's like, look,
Hypothetically, how does the 29th look to everybody?
Fine with me.
That works.
Same here.
So could I suggest that we actually do the 18th and the 29th?
Sure.
And
Sure.
and Lauren, let's see if we can get some of the questions and sort of start our overall review, because I think it's going to take us both of those days.
Mhm.
And if you would kindly lean on Ira.
Yep.
And let's get his stuff a-rolling. I'd like to see if maybe he could come on the 29th. If you want to see if he can come on the 18th, great, but he'll tell you no.
Okay.
But maybe get him on the 29th so we could go through the IRA issues and we could review everything else we've got, maybe get what feedback we can from Stacy, and maybe even if Peggy can come on the 18th.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we had the 18th, the 29th, and the 6th. And Lauren, we need to get our charge extended.
Yeah, so the next thing is updating the Board of Selectmen. You guys wanted to give them a status update, and so that we would give them a status update and then also request the extension of your charge. My suggestion is to do it on December 7th, which is a morning meeting, because the 22nd, the evening meeting, is going to be very full with referendum questions and special appropriations and town meetings.
Okay. So I am perfectly happy to come then. If there's any chance at all, we could be early in their
I will
agenda.
put you first on the agenda.
Yeah, 8 a.m. meeting?
8 a.m. Yep.
8 a.m. on the 7th?
Yep. And I'll send you guys that link as well.
Great. All right. And that being said, I think the only other thing we have with the Board of Selectmen is we will require another member to replace Noreen. And it would be nice if that were possible to be done a little sooner rather than later, because we're about to talk about substantive items.
Mhm.
If they wait too long, then the job's boring.
oh, it's never boring. Come on.
So congratulations on making it all the way through the charter, guys.
Yeah.
You know?
Lauren, you get a gold star today. The fact that you're not drooling on yourself is impressive. So,
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you for.
yes.
All right, gang.
Awesome.
I'll see you
Yeah,
later.
great.
Thank you
All
all.
right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Everybody, take
Bye.
care.